Over the top with Chad and Tony, talking about movies and wrestling. Hot mic chance, Georgia team hating on me. Gene, BJ the DJ keeps the party going. Brandon E brings the heat. We don't know how to speak. Running wild on you, brother. We're over the top. Rocking it back to the vintage scene. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. With epic thumbnails from the vids. It's a must-see. Gonna bring you the best. Legends you remember from the ring and silver screen. We're over the top. Get ready for a good time.
Bow! What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chad Arms, a.k.a. Chatty Bobby Olimbury.
My name is Tony, a.k.a. Friday the 14th. Cut it in nice and slow right there.
Shout out to Usher.
Okay.
And if you ain't enjoying this time of the year, you're just an old Grinch. I'm Hot Mike Chance.
Merry Christmas to you.
Almost that time.
Shout out to Christmas time.
We're less than a week away from Christmas, man. Christmas.
Krumel, Merry Krumel.
Love it.
We're 6 days away, and that's something like that.
Yep.
And we got another one of the year-end reviews for you guys. This is going to be 1991. This is episode 93, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Shout out to 93 episodes. 93 was a great year for movies.
Yep.
Let's see how good 91 is. You know what I mean? We're about to dive into it.
You said it last time. We might as well just, with the rest of these, just roll through the rest of the 90s with them. So
Yeah.
I think we got this one in 92 to knock out the early 90s, and then
Yeah, just kind of move on with it from there.
but yeah, January is always, like we've discussed this multiple times. It's always like a slower month. Even in the early 90s, like that year, the one that sticks out to me the first week is Showdown in Little Tokyo. That one's just because I'm Brandon Lee's in that one, but that's the only one that really stuck out. And I know you're a big fan of Warlock that came out January 10th.
Oh, no, I'm not. So, fun
movie is
fact,
garbage.
Warlock is terrible. Warlock is a movie me and the Viz watched on a hangout one night, and halfway through it, we were like, this movie is awful, and that moment was our realization where we wanted to stop collecting Vestron releases.
Yeah, y'all
It was that movie that we were like, you know what? Fuck that. We're selling all of our Vestrons. Fuck Vestrons.
Yeah.
Shout out to, not all of them. We sold a lot of them, though. But shout out to Warlock for being terrible.
I need to watch it because I'd probably love it.
You would hate it, Chance.
Absolutely hate it.
But go ahead,
it was,
dude.
I thought
No.
it was cool
won't
when I
waste
was
my
younger,
time.
when I rented it from the little market down the street. But then rewatching it when Vestron came out, I was like, why? It's terrible. And there's a whole series of it. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them.
There is. But yeah,
they're
dog
terrible,
shit.
though. But January 11th, though, one of my favorite Van Damme movies to ever come out, Lionheart.
Oh, yeah.
Just pure greatness. He's a soldier, comes back. He ditches the army. He's a draft dodger, not a draft dodger, but he just ditches his troops to come back to be a pit fighter to raise money for his sister-in-law and her daughter. And it's a badass movie.
Shout out to Family Man tendencies, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that one pulled in $22 million. That was a low one for Van Damme, but that's early night. That's before he really started getting hot at that time.
Yeah. Facts.
But yeah, that's then January 18th was White Fang. Do y'all remember that one as a kid?
Nope.
No, I know it was Ethan Hawke, but I don't really remember the movie. I mean, obviously it did well. It did $34 million in 91, but it was never one that I remember watching. I may have watched it when I was a kid, and I just don't remember it. But
Fun fact, I tried using that to cheat on a book report for the book of White Fang.
okay, shout out to shout out to cheating.
Yeah, the book and the movie, 2 totally different things, and I found that out the hard way.
Where was the Chat GPT when you needed it?
That's great.
Yeah, I trusted the movie. That's the first time I ever trusted the movie to be similar to a book, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just use Google?
It was 1991. This is pre-intranet.
Yeah, see how hard you got it, kids?
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, you just have to, right there you go.
Yep.
It's all right there at the touch of your fingertips.
Facts. But yeah, as far as January, it was a very light month in January. There was one other one I'll say I haven't even seen all the way through, but it was one that Scream Factory released. It was Gregory Hines. It was Eve of Destruction.
I never saw that one.
I just mentioned it because of us it having a Scream Factory release, but it did like $5 million at the box office. I never saw it all the way through. It was one of those cheap titles that Scream Factory put out towards the beginning of them releasing movies.
Yeah, that's one I never picked up.
There's not really much to write home about in January. February, a movie called L.A. Story, February 8th. It was a Steve Martin movie. I want to say Chevy Chase may have popped in that movie like as a cameo or something. Vaguely remember that one, but I mean it did almost $30 million.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that one.
It was like a romantic comedy. I think, but I know Steve Martin was in it, but I don't remember anything about it. But the next one, do y'all remember that one?
Never Ending Story 2. Yes, I was more of a fan of one.
Yeah.
The first one I was more of a fan of. This one, it's okay. It's almost like Gremlins 2 in a way compared to the first one, in my opinion. But still, the nostalgia, the song, the music. As a kid, I still, after watching the first one as a kid, I had to watch the second one. And what they pull in, surprisingly, it only pull, but it's $17 million. But I think Never Ending Story is more. It wasn't like a big time. I had to check the box office on it, but I don't think the first one really did that much. I think it had more like a cult following to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Well, I was just interested in the movie that came out on February 1st called Popcorn. Did y'all ever see it?
That is a good horror movie, man.
Is it?
Synapse put that movie out.
Yeah.
It's a solid horror
sounds
movie.
Sounds like something I'd be interested in.
But it was. I just noticed that when we were looking through here, and it was a solid one. I didn't know it actually got a theatrical release. It did $5 million.
I had no clue to. I've never seen. I knew Synapse.
Like it?
Yeah,
it's solid.
I've always seen it. I've just never picked that one up or watched it or anything.
Good
like
practical effects. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think majority of it takes place in a theater.
Oh, okay.
But
I remember the cover art, like
solid.
a melting face on the cover art and stuff.
Yeah.
Nope.
Big one here. Like I may have seen it years ago. I don't really recall, but I know it's a huge movie. Sleeping with the Enemy.
Oh yeah.
Roberts.
Yeah.
$175 million. This one did. It was one of those thriller suspense movies. Towards the beginning of those, I think you had that, and you had like Disclosure later on with Demi Moore. You had what's the one with Michael Douglas with the rabbit where the
Basic Instinct.
No, that's not that one. But that's one. But it's like that whole vibe of everything.
Yeah.
Fatal Attraction.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
It was that whole wave, and
that she was on fire at that time too.
yeah, and that was a big one. And then of course another really big one in February.
February on Valentine's Day of that year, you had Silence of the Lambs drop.
Man, what better date night than to take your girl to watch that and
Clarice
go out to dinner? You know,
Great movie, but that damn Jodie Foster.
$275 million though.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of
It
it.
started a whole franchise.
Yep, it's a lot of it.
But yeah, I mean, Anthony Hopkins is
hello, Clarice.
as Hannibal Lecter it's an iconic role for him. I mean, when you think of Anthony Hopkins, that's the first thing that comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
Just the airport scene where he's all strapped up on the gurney and he has the mouth guard on, and it's just and it takes place in Tennessee too. That's when where Buffalo Bill is. Is it Chattanooga? I believe.
Chattanooga.
I don't know. It's some part of Tennessee that it takes place in and everything. But that whole ending with the night vision and everything, I mean, if you haven't seen Silence of the Lambs, what's wrong with you? That's iconic in the thriller / horror genre.
Yeah, and it's one that I've always respected. Never really been huge on that series though.
Yeah.
I respect it for what it is, but like the Silence of the Lambs, the Red Dragon, the Hannibals, like I think I've seen all of them once, maybe twice.
Yeah.
I think they're cool. I've just never really been huge on those movies.
It's understandable.
But I get it. There's two films that came out February 15th that I'm going to put side by side.
Go for it.
And they're two terrible comedies. One of them is starring John Goodman, King Ralph.
Oh, man.
And the other is a Dan Aykroyd directed film starring Chevy Chase and Demi Moore and cameo by Tupac. Nothing But Trouble.
Holy crap.
Dude. So,
The man of so much knowledge when it comes to bad comedies.
dude, Nothing But Trouble is such a terrible movie. and I think it's the only film Dan Aykroyd directed.
That's
I could be wrong.
I never knew that.
But it could have been very good. I want to say the name of the movie originally was going to be like Valkenvania, because that was the name of the town or something they went to.
I've never seen either one of those. I remember seeing
really
King
bad.
Ralph.
King Ralph's just corn. I mean, it's got some funny parts. And I remember when it got a Blu-ray release.
Yes,
with,
Mill Creek.
Mill Creek, and because
like
I had
the-
watched parts of it growing up, but I had watched it all the way through. It's bad, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's a fun comedy, you know what I mean? But it ain't good.
Yeah.
But Nothing But Trouble is terrible for the amount of actors, and it was a big flop. I know that it did $8 million. King Ralph did 30.
that's crazy. That's surprising as hell to see that King Ralph.
Well, you got to think 91, so Roseanne's probably in like season 3 or 4 at this time.
Okay, yeah.
And John
so-
Goodman's like.
I want to say
there.
did the Babe? Have we talked about the Babe being around, coming around or out around that time? Maybe 93, 94? It had to be.
Probably so.
But John Goodman in a lead role, I've never been a big fan of John Goodman in the lead role. He's always better as a supporting actor than anything.
Yeah.
But that wraps up pretty much February. The beginning of March, nothing really stands out. An Oliver Stone movie, The Doors documentary, came out. It did $34 million with Val Kilmer in it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that one, but I know that was a big release. I know Oliver Stone is a huge director. There's some of his movies I like. Any Given Sunday is probably my favorite of his.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
Oh, man, it's so good.
There's a funny like cop action movie. It's like an action comedy that came out, and I can't believe it did as much as it did. The Hard Way. You see March 8th?
Yes.
Which is Brandon E's birthday. And Skegg, shout out to y'all.
Shout out both of y'all.
Happy birthday.
Brandon E was turning fucking 7 years old when this came out. The Hard Way, starring James Woods and Michael J. Fox. Now, this is one I had never seen until Kino Lorber.
Oh, shout out Kibo.
We call him Kibo. They put out that movie sale.
Oh,
That's one of the ones that Kino Lorber released, and I watched it. And it was a fun, like, action suspense kind of thing. It wasn't nothing great.
probably stuck better if you saw it as a kid at the time.
Yeah,
and
probably. But it
everything.
did $65 million at
That's
the
crazy.
box office.
But that's once
Michael
again,
J. Fox.
Michael
yeah,
J. Fox.
91. You're
Yeah.
talking, 4 or 5 years into the Back to the Future
Yep.
films, and
Yeah,
the
it
best
just-
movie of all time, Teen Wolf.
Even though he disowns it.
And he disowns it. But yeah, Hard Way, that's a random one. And the same day, New Jack City comes out.
That was a huge weekend because I mean
It did $20 million less than the Hard Way
that's
did.
crazy. It is so much better of a movie.
It turned out to be one of the greatest gangster films ever.
Yeah.
Shout Wesley Snipes.
But yeah, I mean that's over $100 million weekend right there.
Yeah, stuff's starting to cook a little bit. Looks like in March.
There's The Perfect Weapon. I'm trying to think of who was in The Perfect Weapon, but I can't recall that one. But on March 22nd is the biggest one that stands out to me in March. You have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze with Kino in there.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as good as the original, but you could definitely tell they went more towards this, hey, we need to go family friendly. It's going to make us more money because it pulled in $78 million compared to where the 91 did nowhere close to that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that was a huge one for me. The Turtles looked different. You had a different April O'Neil. But you had Kevin Nash made his debut in that one as the
Super
Super
Shredder.
Shredder. Tokar and Razor were but it was fun. As a kid, I loved it. I had an absolute blast with it. But yeah, that's and then I've never seen. Have you ever seen The Unborn? Was that?
No, I've never seen that, but I have seen a great music drama, The Five Heartbeats.
I've never seen.
That came out March 29th. You've never heard of The Five Heartbeats?
I've never
Me
heard
either.
of
Oh,
that.
dude, you need to watch that one.
Who's
Great.
in
It's about the Temptations. Who stars?
You sold me on that one. Whether they only pulled in $7 million.
Yeah, but it's I don't know.
Underrated.
It was written and directed by Robert Townsend. Keenan Ivory Wayne's wrote it.
Oh,
screenplay
okay.
As well.
I'll give that one. I'll put that one on the list to watch then.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching, man. It's a good one.
But I mean, Did anything stick out to you that we didn't cover in March?
Nope.
No, it was.
It's a lighter year.
I
91 was a
realized-
little lighter year so far.
So far, I haven't seen a lot of these 91 movies.
Oh, really?
I mean, I was only 5 years old.
Well, this
so
is true too. Yeah,
But,
there's not
I
much
mean,
to come
yeah.
back on from you. And
Yep.
see, in April is really nothing. Like Drop Dead Fred
Oh
came
yeah,
out.
Drop Dead Fred
Were you
is
a fan?
my movie.
Oh, okay. So that one.
That one, Snot Face, Cobwebs,
Okay.
like all the one-liners.
I've
Shout out
watched it
Drop
one
Dead
time
Fred,
and it
yeah.
never stuck with me.
Really?
Yeah.
My sister loved it. I watched it when she would want to watch it, but it never stuck with me. But
The
I get
poo
why
was on the
people like
chair.
it.
The poo was on the chair.
Oh, that's a. I
Shout
know.
out Drop Dead Fred. Well, and also in April before that, the week before that, you had a Steven Seagal movie, Out for Justice.
Oh, okay.
It did almost $40 million.
Oh yeah. You writing this?
You're in that Steven Seagal time frame, but shout out to Drop Dead Fred.
I think Vinegar released that one too. Released that one a couple years back, and it was a hot seller.
Yeah, and another one, and it's one that I wasn't really a big fan of, but it's a Sly Stallone movie, Oscar.
Yeah,
In April of 2020, April 26th, it did like $23 million. It's one that I never really got into. I've seen it, but it wasn't nothing special.
I was more of a fan of Toy Soldiers with what's his name, Rudy.
I never saw that either. Is that the one?
where they come to the school. The school gets overtaken.
Oh, okay.
And everything.
I think
Sean Astin. That's who I was
Sean
thinking. But
Astin.
Toy Soldiers, I forget. I think all the films put it out. It got like a Blu-ray release and went out of print. But it's one to go back and watch. It's a fun one.
Yeah, I'll tell you one that came out in May that was a terrible sequel. Mannequin 2 on the Move.
Okay, never even saw the first one.
Oh God, Tony! Mannequin 1 is one of my favorite movies from the 80s for sure. You had Andrew McCarthy and you had Kim Cattrall, and the plot's insane. Where she's a mannequin, but she comes to life. But it's a really good comedy, though. It's really funny.
I've always heard people talk about that one.
Oh, dude, I watched that so many times growing up. But they made a sequel, and of course, none of the same people, except for one person, I think, was in the sequel, and it was terrible. But another one that came out the same day, May 17th, Brian Bosworth,
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold.
Yeah, I mean, there was some money that was made in the month. It's just movies that I've never heard of and everything. But Stone Cold, I love Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth.
William Forsythe, too.
Yeah, I mean, is it a great movie? No,
it's
not
just,
at all.
It's a good, bad action movie.
Yeah, it's a great bad action movie. But, I mean, you had like Switch. I never heard of Switch. It pulled in $15 million. Madonna, Truth or Dare, like a concert.
I'm sure it was like her at the time.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, the same day you had What About Bob with Bill Murray coming
One of
out.
my favorite. That's probably my favorite Bill Murray movie.
It pulled in almost $64 million that day.
Dude, baby steps, dude. What About Bob is so good, bro. Have y'all seen that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have seen that with Richard Dreyfuss. And
Dude, where he's the germaphobe.
Yes.
And
Dave
Bill-
Ramsey owes his whole career to that with the baby steps.
oh, baby steps, yeah. Dude, the way that they met Bill Murray is so good in that movie. And so is Richard Dreyfuss. It's like being the pissed off doctor.
It's believable.
But
Yeah,
dude,
it's so believable.
Bill Murray is so good in that movie, and it's hilarious, dude. That's dope that it did that much because it's a great one.
Yeah, but that's May 24th. A movie pulled in $152 million. Backdraft.
Outstanding movie.
Oh, it's a great
Shout
movie.
out to Uncle Kurt Russell.
Yeah, you got
Robert De Niro. Got Bobby D in there.
Yeah, one of the I forget which bald. There's another bald. Is two Baldwins in that one or
I
just
can't
one
remember which
Baldwin?
one. I don't know if
It's
which
the
one.
black-haired Baldwin.
Black-haired Baldwin, yeah.
It's not Biodome Baldwin or the shooter Baldwin. It's the other. It's the third Baldwin. But yeah, I remember my mom loving that movie and everything because all the firefighters.
Yeah.
But I mean, $152 million. Whoa!
Oops, sorry.
Watching
Dude,
now.
Another one that same day that's a solid one, Thelma and Louise.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
It did like 46 million. That's one that ended up having like a cult following, I feel like.
Yeah. Same
One
with
that I
Hudson
didn't-
Hawk.
Yeah, one that I didn't see till years. Same with Hudson Hawk. I didn't see that till Mill Creek put it out.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a Bruce Willis one that doesn't get talked about that much at all.
Yeah. And last in the May, it did almost 37 million. A movie called Soap Dish. I remember my mom used to watch that a lot when I was growing up, but I never really watched it
No, I
and
don't
knew what it was
recall that
about. But it was.
June is a heavy hitter.
Yep.
June is that we're starting to see some big money being spent, especially the first week. June 7th, you had City Slickers.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean Billy Crystal, but I'll be honest, I was not a fan of the City Slicker movies.
Me neither, man. I'm gonna be 100%. I never got on the train that was the City Slickers.
I'll throw it out there. I was never really a big Billy Crystal fan.
Me either.
The only thing I'll give Billy Crystal credit for is the movie 61. I mean, he directed that one and everything. That's the only thing I was.
I remember from a romantic comedy standpoint, like when Harry Met Sally was always a big one. Everybody talked about with him and Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan was and I liked that one. Okay, that one more felt like that was kind of like it was written kind of like a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
So I kind of did like some of it, but like as far as Billy Crystal goes, I just didn't really get into the City Slicker stuff.
Yeah. But that all of June 7th made some money because you had City Slicker, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
That's another one.
My favorite movie from the early 90s,
yeah.
dude.
Yep.
Brandon's a big fan of that movie.
Yeah. We watched that countless times on VHS. You had Christine Applegate, Danielle Harris.
Yeah.
It was a great one, man.
25 million, and then Jungle Fever brought in almost $32 million that weekend.
I remember the movie, but I've
never seen it either.
Yeah.
But then you go right into the next week, June 14th. You had a Uncle Kevin Costner banger. I love this movie. You had Bryan Adams do the soundtrack for it. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I remember the Kenner toy line that came out for this one too.
I need to go back and watch that one. It's been a long time, but
love it.
I used to watch it a lot as a kid.
Oh, absolutely.
My sister and my brother was obsessed with the movie, and I would watch it, but it's that time frame that I can't stand.
Yeah.
But I love the Bryan Adams song. My mom had the CD soundtrack, so she was always playing it.
I think you had Sting, Bryan Adams, and I forget who the third guy did. They all had like a because it's all for love. Oh man, so good. Morgan Freeman in that one.
Morgan Freeman.
But yeah, I had some of the toys. This greatness. I bought that Arrow release when they brought it out on 4K.
Yeah.
That was a huge one in my. I think that one in Willow.
Yeah, no facts. And then in '91, on June 21st, there was another Julia Roberts movie that I never saw, Dying Young. It did like $61 million. Or is that 81?
That's an 81.
$81 million. I'm sorry.
Bang.
Golly, did y'all ever see that one?
I've never even heard of that one.
I know it's a Julia. So that's two Julia Roberts movies this year.
Yeah, she's made over 100, easily over 100, almost probably 150 million already this year. But also that day, The Rocketeer, that Disney movie was huge for me too. Y'all recall that one?
Never seen it.
Well,
I remember seeing
can't remember
it, but it was
that
one that I
you're
never
much
cared
younger
much
than
about.
us.
Not a whole lot, but
Yeah.
that time frame.
But a $46 million compared to Suburban Commando, it pulled in a shit ton of money.
Yeah, Suburban Commando still did $6 million. Shout out to Terry Bollea.
God, terrible.
Brother movie though.
Brother.
The last movie that we'll talk about, I guess, in June would be The Naked Gun 2.5.
Yes.
It did $87 million.
That's crazy. Almost 100 million.
People love them Leslie Nielsen comedies, man. Especially the Naked Guns and airplane movies.
Yeah. Oh, but probably. Oh my goodness. Probably the biggest movie of the year that came out that year is probably Terminator 2.
Yep.
Came out July 2nd.
I think I definitely saw Terminator 2 before I saw Terminator 1.
Yeah.
Like
I remember
multiple times. I mean I knew there had to be a Terminator 1, but I never cared much for that one.
Terminator 2 is so much different. I considered the first Terminator a horror movie.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 is full on action. It's everything that you want in an action movie. But the first one, it's almost like a sci-fi slasher in a way and everything. But man, I remember seeing the first Terminator, just clips of it on TV and everything. But I definitely saw the Terminator 2 as a whole more first over the first one. But man, $515 million.
Yeah, and there's no telling what they made in merchandise too, man. That movie made bank. And a day after that, you had Problem Child 2 with Michael Oliver himself and good old-fashioned John Ritter, R.I.P.
Yes. I love it.
I was a big fan. I know we
Yep.
talked about it in one of the other reviews. I got it mixed up with Child's Play too, and then I realized it later. But like, Problem Child 2, I used to love him when I was a kid, especially the pizza scene.
I love both of those. I love the second one just as much as the first one on that one. I mean,
25 million. It did some money. And then July 10th, a movie Regarding Henry. I don't know if that's I want to say that's a Harrison Ford movie. Yeah, Harrison Ford movie.
I've never seen.
I never saw it, but apparently, it's
Harrison Ford. It brought in almost $43 million.
Yeah, and it was like a drama. It brought in some money. And then July 12th, bro.
Dude, it was a banger of a week.
Man, Boys in the Hood. One of the,
I was expecting that one to do more money.
No, you gotta think though. 91. That's not what. That was like shocking to people.
Yeah, $56 million. It's still
NWA had only
that's
been
what I
out
was
for a
wondering.
couple of years. For 3 or 4 years before that.
Yeah,
and that was that whole culture and that whole everything about gangster rap or just gangster movies like.
The government was fighting against them and all that stuff. Yep.
They were battling uphill with that, but the fact that it did 56 million is dope, and it's.
Do you think that this movie also helped the rap genre in that time as well?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
It had to have a huge. You had Ice Cube in one of the leading roles of the movie and everything.
Yeah, facts.
And that's a young Ice Cube taking on that kind of role for that kind. Looking back at it now, they probably weren't thinking that's a huge role at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back at it now, that's a huge influential role that he took on in that movie.
No, facts.
It's just as a movie itself, it's up there with up top with like we talked about that and Menace to Society.
Yeah.
You can go back and forth with that one.
Yeah.
But then you also had a great action movie that came out that day with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, Point Break.
Mm-hmm.
Almost $84 million that movie pulled in.
And I'm willing to guarantee the remake years later did not pull in $83 million.
And
you know why? I'll tell you why, because it didn't have Gary Busey in it.
And that movie's basically Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
That's what Fast and the Furious is based off of.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just
same concept.
A modern day Point Break.
Yep.
It's just a fancier remake. Mm-hmm. It did well. Of course, the Fast and Furious is way better than the remake actually did of it, though.
Yeah.
But July 19th was another a banger comedy day.
Yep.
I wasn't the biggest Bill and Ted's fan. The first one's all right, but the second Bogus Journey did $37 million. But what's surprising to me is that Dutch came out that day and only did $4.2 million.
I love Dutch. Dutch is such a good comedy, written by John Hughes, and it's starring
Al Bundy,
Ed O'Neill, and what's his name? Nick Papagiorgio.
Oh yes,
Ethan
Embry.
Ethan Embry, yeah.
Oh man.
John Hughes didn't direct it, but he wrote the screenplay. I love Dutch, bro. Dutch is a great comedy. I love it.
Now, is it? I've only seen it, I think, once. Is it based around Thanksgiving as well?
I want to say he went up to pick him up during the holidays from like his boarding school or private school or wherever he was at. And I think it was like Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I've always heard that. Like I said, in the Blu-ray for it's super out of print.
You've never seen it?
I've only seen it once.
Oh yeah, Dutch is awesome, man.
I've never watched it.
It still holds up too. I've watched it over the last
but that's
couple of years.
it's being a John Hughes written movie. For it to only not even pull in $5 million, that's what's crazy.
Yeah.
And especially hearing so many people talk about it nowadays and everything. But have you ever seen The Doctor or heard of that movie?
Never seen it. See where it did $37 million though. Who was in that one?
I don't have
William Hurt.
Okay.
Never.
I
seen
believe it.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, July 26th though, one of my I don't want to say favorite mob movies, but Mobsters. It only pulled in $20 million, but it's a fun one. Early 90s. You had the Christian Slater in it. I think Sean Penn's younger brother,
Penn, yep.
Chris Penn's in it. Kind of like that little early 90s Brat Pack
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't bad, man. I remember getting it on Blu-ray back when it came out, like as a regular Blu-ray at Best Buy or something. I got it.
McDreamy's in it from Thanksgiving. The cop from Thanksgiving. He was also on. I know him from McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy, because my wife watches that show religiously. But no, bro, July 31st, though, one of the most underrated comedies ever to come out, though, is Hot Shots.
Yeah, Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
Sorry, brothers.
Yeah.
But another one of those, I guess you call them slapstick, whatever they call them,
Yep.
the comedies where it's like the Hot Shots is like Naked Gun and is like Airplane.
Yep.
It's that whole vibe. And it's I remember liking them okay. I didn't like them as much as like Naked Gun or anything like that, but I remember them being funny though.
And see, I gravitate more towards Hot Shots than the Naked Gun, but it pulled in $176 million at the box office.
People love them freaking them slapstick comedy movies, though.
Oh man, that's crazy though.
Yeah, and then in August, man, another early '90s Michael J. Fox comedy, Doc Hollywood.
I have seen that one.
That was a solid one, $54 million. So he had The Hard Way with him and James Woods. And then he had this one. So even like his movies that aren't as successful are still pulling in $40 to $60 million at the box office. I mean, because that's just what he was bringing at the time. Michael J. Fox was bringing that shit, though.
Yeah.
Do you remember the dog movie Bingo? Mm-mm. I remember. So the only reason I remember Bingo is not because I've seen the movie, because I haven't. I remember on either the VHS of, I think it was the Mask VHS. It showed the trailer to the Bingo movie.
I'm trying.
And it was just about this little dog. It was just a little funny family movie about a dog.
A little Benji knockoff.
Yeah. And I remember Bingo. That's the only thing I know about Bingo, but it did $8 million.
Crazy.
This right here.
Oh, I remember that cover art. Yes.
Of course, I'm flashing the cover art on the screen.
Yeah, I remember the cover. I never saw it, though.
Yeah,
but
that's the only thing I remember about Bingo was that it was on the VHS of Mask or Dumb and Dumber or something like that.
yeah, but Double Impact far surpasses that one, though. Another Jean-Claude Van Damme banger. Where he plays the twins separated at birth, or not separated at birth, separated as babies, and then they find each. But yeah,
now there's one
Van Damme cheese greatness.
The same day, I think I've spoken about this movie before. Pure Luck with Martin Short and Danny Glover.
That movie did almost as much as Double Impact.
Dude, it's ridiculous. Martin Short is a train wreck of a person. He is one of those people that if he's walking, it's like he has a cloud over him. So every time he's around, bad luck, fucked up stuff is happening the whole movie. And it's silly, but I always enjoyed it. It was another one that I want to recorded VHS tape I watched with Inner Space, which was another, Martin Short movie. But I can't believe it did $22 million. That's fucking crazy.
That's wild.
But that's really the only other notable one that I see. There's a couple in here. Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
That's what surprised. Yeah, well, you have Mickey Rourke in that one. You have Shooter Baldwin actually in that one. But it only did $7 million.
Baldwin.
Is that bad to say?
No.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's not Alabama. But
it only did $7 million.
Yeah, and that's one I've never seen, but it's one that Shout Factory put out, and I think you talked about it.
It's got like a cult following to it. Well, I wouldn't even say a cult following. I mean, I'm the only one that's ever seen it in this room out of three. So,
well, here you go, Chance. You'll like. I'm sure you.
Yep.
August 30th.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about what came out August 30th?
Child's Play 3.
Yep.
Oh,
the one at the Army.
Yeah, that's when me and Chance we have a soft spot for that one.
I liked it too, but I'm telling you, the first three.
The first three
falls off a cliff.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I didn't like that one as much, but going back to it and watching it now, it's one of my favorites out of the three.
Yeah, almost pulled in $20 million.
I like it better than 2.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm. Not better than the first one though.
No, it's hard to beat. No, I'd put them in. I'd put the first. I'd put them in order.
Yeah.
Now going to we're in September now.
Yep.
And not a lot. Well, September 13th, which would have been Friday the 13th. One of the worst sequels. Freddy's Dead.
It's bad.
It's so bad. $34 million. Like there at this point, what is that? That's number 6.
But yeah.
Because 5 was the Dream Child, right?
Yeah.
And then 6 was Freddy's Dead. That's the one with Roseanne
Oh, that's so
and Tom Arnold, right?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not-
$34 million it did. I'm pretty sure Freddy's Dead. If we're wrong, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But I'm pretty sure Freddy's Dead. I've only watched it maybe once, twice. It's terrible, bro.
It's horrible. That Freddy franchise is. I know we've talked about talking over that one. Man, that's going to be tough. One to get, that's going to be
it
tough
may be
to
a
get
thing
through.
where we just have to do a Wes Craven episode.
Yeah,
and
it's
just
gonna be so tough to go
include
through.
Nightmare on Elm Street series in that.
Yeah.
That's the move we do with that. We don't do what Nightmare on Elm Street because, guys, I'm sorry, but Nightmare on Elm Street only has like 3 good movies.
Yeah. If that.
And then a couple that are okay, and the rest are complete horse pocky or whatever.
I concur, good sir. But I love Freddy as a character. Don't get.
Oh yeah, I love Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm
been
Street 1
so
is one of
much
my. It's
better.
in my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time.
Yeah.
The first one, I love the first one. I like the third one a lot. The fourth one's okay. Freddy versus Jason's dope.
New Nightmare's all right.
New Nightmare's okay, a little boring. The rest of it is unwatchable.
Yeah. Don't even get you started on the remake.
Yeah, and 2, I know everybody's like 2. I just don't like 2. I just don't like 2. There's one that I joked about whenever we did the episode of Robin Williams about the Fisher King.
42 million.
Yeah, well, the Fisher King actually was released in '91. I joked about it being my favorite Robin Williams movie. It's not, but it did $42 million.
That's the power of Robin Williams, man. That's crazy.
And then later on the end of the month, September 27th, the movie we've talked about, Necessary Roughness.
One of my top favorite.
Great football comedy.
So the cast is unbelievable.
Insane.
Who's in that
26
one?
million. Sinbad's in it.
Oh, yeah,
Kathy
yeah.
Ireland's in it. She plays the kicker, right?
In that. What's his name? Quantum Leap guy.
Fuck.
What is his name? He's the quarterback. He's the old quarterback
hang
in
on.
it. That's gonna bug me. I know him as
Burt Reynolds. No.
he can pass as it. But
Scott Bakula?
Yeah, Scott Bakula. I like
Shout
it.
out. I didn't have to get the cheat sheet for that.
I like it.
Oh, you also had Robert Loggia.
Yes, he was the coach.
He was the coach. Yeah.
Robert Loggia.
You had Scott Bakula. You had Rob Schneider. You had Dick Butkus. Jason Bateman, or young Jason Bateman.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and pull out Jason Bateman. I just watched a Jason Bateman movie that's on Netflix.
My mom was telling me about it. I need to watch it.
It's pretty cool. It's
Bro, me and Mel watched the first 2 episodes of Landman today. That shit is fucking fire, bro.
I've heard that show is incredible.
It's Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah. Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes, dude. Allie Larder.
Yeah.
He plays his baby mama in it, his ex-wife. The chick from Final Destination.
And Varsity Blues.
Yeah, dude.
I've heard it's
the
like
first 2 episodes. I'm locked in.
Yeah, I've heard it's like possibilities of like surpassing Yellowstone.
It's gonna pick up where Yellowstone left off as far as dope ass show. Taylor Sheridan.
That's
So
one.
good.
We need to tackle Taylor Sheridan as a whole episode one time. It just
Facts.
the dude, his writing, his writing is
That's what I was telling Mel earlier today.
it's beyond anybody writing. And I didn't realize that he was part writer of Sons of Anarchy.
Yep. He's been having his hand in a lot of shit, man.
Dude, it's incredible. Anyways, back to 90,
October.
91. Man.
A little rough.
Not a lot.
I will say
there.
there's one in here that I'll say in October. Early on Denzel film, Ricochet.
Okay, yeah.
I like Ricochet. It was one that I didn't watch until we did our Denzel episode, and I found it and watched it. And it was cool. I mean, it was early Denzel before he was popular.
Yes.
You want to
But it did 21 mil. Yeah, The Super. Isn't that with Joe Pesci?
I never saw that one.
Oh, dude. I'm almost positive that's the one I'm thinking
I've never
of.
saw that one with is that a
Yeah, it's a comedy. Yeah, Joe Pesci. Yeah, for sure. And crazy, Rod Daniel directed it, and I'm pretty sure that's the same guy that directed Teen Wolf.
okay. All right. Well, mark that one. I'll mark that one on the list.
No, but
Pull that
it's
on
a fucking. I mean, it's a fucking. It's dumb. It's like, it's kind of along the same humor as like.
My Cousin Vinny.
Yes.
Okay,
Not
gotcha.
as good. But
Yeah.
That same style.
October 11th. I mean, you had a huge standout on that day.
Yeah, Frankie and Johnny.
Oh,
No.
That's not who I was going to pull
No,
on there.
just kidding.
That was going to be my vote for Friends Frightmare.
Yep.
I got it wrong again.
Yeah, French Frightmare. That's what we're changing it to.
But
That's
you had
a-
Ernest Scared Stupid that came out
Best
October
Ernest
11th.
movie ever.
yeah.
But it only did $14 million.
That's an Ernest movie, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it wasn't,
true.
It wasn't. Ernest was popular here. in the South, but like it wasn't widely. You know
This is
what I'm saying?
true. And I didn't. It's not like I went to the theaters and saw that when I saw when it came out on VHS.
Yeah, we
You
rented
couldn't
that one
tell
at
me that Bill
Blockbuster.
Martin's was not the one that in the town that I lived in, and it wasn't. It was the one in Nashville. But like, you couldn't tell me that Bill Martin's grocery store he was in was not shot in my hometown, and it wasn't. But
Yeah, you had to
love
believe
that
it.
movie.
But for going to Frankie and Johnny, I've never heard of that movie, and it did $22 million that day.
Yeah, I never heard of it either.
Get the
freaking
fuck
Antarctica documentary did $66 million.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah.
Dolly Dearest did. I guess that was a straight to VHS at that time.
Zero.
It's. I think you would like Dolly Dearest.
Yeah.
It's a complete knockoff of Child's Play.
I probably seen
I believe
it.
it's a Mexican knockoff of Child's Play. To be honest with you,
I've probably seen it.
but it's. I got it with Vinegar Syndrome, and I have a whole lot of fun with it.
And another one that happened in, what are we on, October?
Yeah.
That I just saw, Antarctica. You had House Party 2.
Yep.
It did almost $20 million. That one was a solid, but I liked all three of the house parties. The one with Immature later, the part 4, I didn't care about, but the first 3 I thought were good.
Yeah.
And then you had Curly Sue, which I thought was good. With,
Yeah,
James Belushi.
Yeah, I've only seen that like a couple times. I haven't seen it like in years.
Me neither. I watched it a lot as a kid. But that was written and directed by John Hughes. I'm pretty sure that was the last film he directed
No way.
before he
Okay.
passed away. Yeah.
It is.
I could be wrong, but it's one of the last ones, if not the last one.
That's
that he
another
did.
episode we could tackle too. Is just a John Hughes episode.
Oh, 100%.
Oh,
but
my
Curly Sue
God.
did $33 million. That was another solid one. I remember growing up. I hadn't watched it in years, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 91 was just not much of a year for.
It was hit or miss. Like in November, you're looking at People Under the Stairs, another Wes Craven movie.
Yeah.
Did $25 million.
And that's,
Where do y'all sit with that one?
It's at the.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all right.
Yes, I'm kind of like whatever with it. I think it's cool, but it ain't one that I.
Yeah,
just
it's not.
love.
It's when I think of Wes Craven, that's not one that I instantly think of.
Yeah.
For sure. But All I Want for Christmas, never seen that one. It did $14 million. Beauty and the Beast. Is that the cartoon? That's a
I
cartoon.
think
Beauty.
so.
That's the
Yeah,
Disney one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's
I saw
Disney.
that in theaters.
Well, I know that's Melissa's all-time favorite movie.
Well, it did a little bit of money.
Yeah, it pulled.
It didn't do the most money though. As crazy as that sounds, you would think that it would have, but it didn't. It didn't do more than Terminator 2 did.
No, but
It did $438 million at the box office.
music's incredible.
Yeah, it's one that my mom and my sister watched all the time when we were growing up. We
Yeah.
watched that. When I was a kid, my favorite one was 101 Dalmatians because of the dogs. I used to love that one as a kid. But I mean, we watched Beauty and the Beast because my sister loved it.
Yeah, we watch it. My cousin, she was a huge fan. That's the only reason we watched. I was more as a kid, more of a
Aladdin.
fan of
I liked Aladdin.
Lion King, but more of a fan of like the live action Disney movies
Yeah.
than the cartoon ones.
Now there is a solid suspense thriller, Cape Fear.
Oh, didn't.
Yep.
Bruh, Robert De Niro is freaking terrible. Nick Nolte, is
Counselor.
young Juliette Lewis.
Yeah.
But Robert De Niro is terrifying in that movie. He did almost $200 million.
Dude, he was shredded for that movie
It
too.
was John Lithgow. Who else did I say? Yeah, whoever I said was probably wrong, but the dad in it was John Lithgow, and Juliette Lewis was
Yep.
his daughter. Remember?
But it's so, dude, he is absolutely terrifying in that movie. And then November 22nd, you had the Addams Family come
Yep.
out.
Yeah.
That was and that one never. The Addams Family movies never stuck with me though, even as a kid. What happened?
I said John Lithgow. That was wrong. It was Nick Nolte. That's who I said first.
Yeah, you were right the first
My
time. That's
bad.
what I was thinking.
So
I was like,
disregard the John Lithgow. I got that mixed up with something else because that's what we do here at Over the Top.
yeah, because I remembered him with the Nick Nolte with the glasses on and everything, and I was, I didn't want to throw you off. I believed you the first time.
Oh yeah, well, that's a solid one, man. I love that film. And then you end November with a super sad one.
There was a cartoon movie that I was a
Yep.
fan of that also came out November 22nd. American Tail, Five Goes West.
I watched that more times than I can count.
Pulled in 20 mil. I remember more watching it as on the VHS back in
Yep.
the day. That All Dogs Go to Heaven, those always stuck out to me. But yes, on November 22nd, Probably one of the first movies to ever bring a tear to my eye as a kid. In My Girl.
Yep.
Watched it one time, never wanted to see it again.
Done enough for you.
Sad as fuck. Yep.
Oh, dude,
Macaulay Culkin.
Just the early '90s was all Macaulay Culkin, but man,
Yeah,
just
51 mil or 58 mil. It did.
just so sad at the end of that one.
Yeah, and December, they 91 ended strong in December. Now, there's one in here that did $96 million that I've never seen. Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered.
I was never a Star Trek fan.
Never
nor
cared
Star
about
Wars.
Star Wars,
Nope.
Star Trek. Sorry, I never really cared about Star Wars either.
It's the same. It's all the same world to me.
Yeah, Star Trek, Wars.
Their
but
ships just never crossed.
No, $96 million though. It was definitely popular. And then you had Critters 3.
Oh, that's the one that you're going to pull out for December 11th, huh?
It did. Well, no, I know that y'all are gonna go to the other one, but
Is that the one with DiCaprio in it?
think so. I can't.
It had to go straight. It was a straight to video release. I mean, that was.
Yep, Leonardo DiCaprio's first film.
Yes.
Critters 3, dude. And then went to space the next time,
Yeah.
of course.
Well, on that same day, you had Hook come out. $300 million with, of course,
He had
Robin
two
Williams.
bangers this year. Well, he had Hook, and then he had Fisher King.
Yeah, Rufio. I mean, we talked about that movie in the dinner scene. I mean, just incredible.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Outstanding, man.
And then the next 2 days later, you had two great movies come out. You had Bugsy with Warren Beatty come out.
Never saw that one.
Movie about Bugsy Siegel and everything. And then The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis and
Damon Wayans.
Damon. Dude, that opening scene when the dude's running down the football field.
The movie's so dope, bro.
Yeah. It's underrated. Super
So-
underrated.
So dope. And then there's one that did insane numbers for a comedy. Steve Martin, again. Father of the Bride.
Jordan's told me, I've never seen The Father of the Bride.
I
My
like
mom
the
used to
Father
watch
of the
it
Bride
When I
movies.
was growing up, I never really watched them, but I remember my mom liking
Yeah.
them. And I think they made a few of them. But the first one did $90 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was
What-
definitely a popular one at Christmas time.
Watching it now as a girl dad, it's a different, yeah.
See,
a
that's what
different
Jordan's
feeling.
told me too. He's
Yep.
like, you need to watch it now with being a girl dad and everything. It hits
Yeah.
home a whole lot more.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one.
I
that
like both of them. I don't know if I think they just made two, but I like both of them.
And both of them got Steve Martin in them too, don't they?
Yeah. And then that same day, you had the JFK,
With Uncle Kev.
Uncle Kevin,
Dude, he pulled in so much money.
$206 million on that
I think
one.
that's an Oliver Stone movie as
It
well.
is, yeah.
I've never sat through that whole movie. I remember it being a double VHS, double taper, Titanic wise, and everything. I remember my grandfather loving it.
Yeah.
But December the 27th though, the movie that stands out to Fried Green Tomatoes. Have you seen Fried Green Tomatoes? Has Mel introduced you to that one?
No.
Oh man, if you like Steel Magnolias,
Yeah, I like somebody knows. Yeah.
I'm sure Mel has seen Fried Green Tomatoes. You need to
Yeah,
get her
yeah.
to introduce you to Fried Green Tomatoes. Movie is incredible.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates is in that one. Psh, so good. And you seen it?
Yep.
Oh,
Multiple times.
Yeah, I need to watch it. Say I've seen it, and then there was another movie that came that did freaking $74 million, Prince of Tides, which was Nick Nolte.
I've never seen
Barbara
that
Streisand. I remember my mom and my nanny and my mom used to watch that one. It's just one of those romantic dramas.
Yeah, you had one Grand Canyon that came out that did almost $41 million.
Oh damn! Is it?
Yeah,
Grand Canyon was Danny Glover, Steve Martin again. God
Okay.
dang, bro.
He had two movies. Dang, he had two movies that came out with. Jeez, yeah, I was okay. Two movies that came out within 5 days of each other.
Kevin Kline, yeah, dude. I mean Steve Martin was slanging them damn
Yeah,
box office films
100
in '91, dude.
$130 million in 5 days.
Yeah. Well, then he had the L.A. story that came out earlier in the year.
Oh yeah,
And that
jeez.
did 30 something or like that, but yeah, man. Overall, '91 definitely had some. It wasn't as heavy hitting as like '93, which
No.
nothing really can be. But '91 definitely had some big ones. T2, Hook,
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast,
Fried Green Tomatoes.
Fried Green Tomatoes. I mean,
Keep throwing that one out, dude.
Yeah.
You have to see that one.
but
Mel,
overall,
make him watch it.
'91 was solid
Yeah.
for sure. Very solid year.
90, I think just 93 and 94 were so strong that
Yeah.
it's hard to compete with those. But yeah, speaking of 93, that's 93 episodes in the books.
Wow.
It's wild to me that we're almost to triple digits. It's crazy. But Yeah. Thank you so much to the sponsors, Trouble Spirits, Revolution One Media. We're getting, like I said, we're a week away from Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
We appreciate all the subscribers, all the new people that's subscribing. Hit the thumbs up for us. All that good jazz. You got any parting words?
Subscribe to the channel, baby.
What about you?
Subscribe to the channel, baby.
We out this motherfucker.
Over the top with Chad and Tony, talking about movies and wrestling. Hot mic chance, Georgia team hating on me. Gene, BJ the DJ keeps the party going. Brandon E brings the heat. We don't know how to speak. Running wild on you, brother. We're over the top, rocking it back to the vintage scene.